show they had blinders on to the possibilities. So we're going to start each prediction with that, just to remind us to think with an open mind. Then I'll share some context about the predictions, and then move on to the prediction itself. I'm going to have a little help with the predictions, but we'll get to that in a moment. First, we're going to switch to a bit of reflection based on what's going on in the economy today. It's tough times today. We're definitely in the middle of a tough economic stretch. And that started me thinking about how our nation traveled through other tough times. What happened to technology during the Great Depression of the 1930s? We can actually predict a lot about the future and the way technology marches on by diving into the past and looking into what happened with past trends in technology. So I dug into what happened with technology in the Great Depression, tracked down a number of articles and a couple of books. And something interesting happened. Everything kind of slowed to a halt once the stock market crashed in 1929. And there had been a pretty good boom of technology up until that point. Companies like NCR, and Burroughs, and Multigraph, and Aerograph, and Underwood were all racing to have the best tabulating devices and calculating machines and exotic punch card machines, and then the crash. And businesses started to make do with what they have, and they quit purchasing these technologies that would help them track data in new volumes. The market dried up. R&D budgets were cut. But there was one company where the CEO said, quite boldly, I'm not going to lay off a single person. I'm going to use this opportunity to innovate, and I'm just one of the pack right now. I'm going to leap to the front of the pack because we're not slowing down for the economy, because we know he can never stop technology. And so he marched on. That man was Thomas Watson, then the CEO of IBM. And he started making the newfangled punch card machines, even though there was no market. Nobody was buying anything. And he built more and more and more punch card machines, built up a warehouse, built up another one, built a new R&D facility in Endicott, New York, that's still there today. Did even more R&D, built up more warehouses and more warehouses. And his investors and his board of directors was quite alarmed. And they told him to stop, and he wouldn't. He said, the economy's going to come back, and you can't bottle up technology. And just as the board was moving on action to remove him from his CEO post, President Roosevelt announced the formation of the Social Security Agency. And the SSA Act created the Social Security Agency overnight. A tremendous, tremendous demand for technology, counting devices, and calculating devices emerged overnight. One company was in a position to dive into that, and that was IBM with their warehouses and punch card machines. And they surged ahead and really had a catapult effect that some historians say was a slingshot that kept them at the lead for several decades to come before they missed the major trend, the PC in the 1980s, and lost their relevancy. But it was a bold move. And the other thing that's interesting about what happened is all those other tech companies jumped on the bandwagon as IBM surged forward. Even though the economy wasn't back and recovered yet, the other tech companies ramped up production, ramped up innovation, and started to up the ante with technology as well. So we can likely expect, as we look to the future, that technology innovation is going to be slowed down on some fronts. Certainly the buying patterns in technology may slow, but during this time of economic hardship, I think you'll also find some technology companies on the move with innovation, innovative products. You can't bottle up technology. It's like oxygen. And when the economy starts to come back and the first sign of daylight, I think you're going to see an innovation spurt. I uncovered something else very interesting